I stood in my parents' foyer, Christmas lights twinkling mockingly overhead, watching Emma grip my left hand and Jake my right. Their small fingers trembled.
7 years old, and they just learned their grandmother didn't consider them real grandchildren.
"Mom,"
I said quietly. "They're 7.
"They drove 4 hours to see you."
She adjusted the wreath on the wall, not looking at me.
"Meredith's children need proper rest. They have activities tomorrow."
"Your 2 can manage one night on sleeping bags." My sister appeared at the top of the stairs, her 3 kids already racing toward the guest rooms, the rooms with the memory foam mattresses and the hand-painted murals I remembered, helping Dad create years ago.
"Oh."
Meredith smiled down at us, that same pitying smile she perfected at age 12.
"It's just practical, Jamie," she called.
"My kids aren't used to roughing it." I felt Jake's hand squeeze tighter. Emma's face had gone blank. That careful emptiness kids learn when adults hurt them.
I'd worn that expression myself at their age. "We're leaving," I said.
Dad emerged from the kitchen. "Don't be dramatic.
"It's just sleeping arrangements." I knelt between my twins.
"Get your coats." They moved fast, relief flooding their faces. As we headed for the door, Mom grabbed my arm.
"You're so sensitive."
They would have been fine. I looked at her hand on my sleeve, then at her face. "The difference is, I won't make them fine with being treated like they're less." "This is why you've always been difficult," she said.
I didn't answer. I just took my children home.
The 4-hour drive back to Portland gave me time to think. Emma and Jake fell asleep within 20 minutes, exhausted from hoping they'd finally be welcomed. In the rearview mirror, their faces looked peaceful, innocent. They had no idea this pattern had defined my entire life.
When I was 8, Meredith got a birthday party at the skating rink with 25 friends. I got a cake from the grocery store and dinner at home.
"We spent money on Meredith's party," Mom explained. "Yours will be quieter." At 13, Meredith got driving lessons with a professional instructor, a used Honda for her 16th birthday, and insurance paid through college. I got Dad's old truck at 17, paid for my own insurance, and worked 30 hours weekly at a grocery store to cover gas. "You're more independent," Dad said. "You don't need as much support." At 18, the college funding conversation happened at dinner. Meredith was already a sophomore at University of Oregon, living in a sorority house.
I'd been accepted to Portland State, planning to commute.
"We can give you $3,000 for your first year," Dad said, sliding an envelope across the table.
"Meredith got $28,000 per year," I said quietly. "She needed campus housing," Mom replied.
"You're living here." "Because you told me that was the only way you'd help at all." Mom's face hardened. "Don't be ungrateful. $3,000 is generous." I took the envelope.
Paid for textbooks and a bus pass. Worked 3 jobs, campus library, weekend restaurant shifts, and night janitorial work. Slept 4 hours on good nights. My GPA stayed at 3.8 because failure wasn't optional. Every semester, I calculated what I paid. $7,400 in tuition, $2,200 in books, $1,800 in fees.
I kept receipts in a shoebox, though I couldn't explain why.
Meredith graduated debt-free with a marketing degree and vague career plans. I graduated with $34,000 in loans and a degree in finance. At 23, Meredith got $85,000 for a wedding at a vineyard. Mason jars, string lights,
an 8-piece band, 300 guests. I got married at 25 in my friend's backyard with 50 people and food trucks. Mom gave me $500 in a card that said, "For the practical daughter. You don't need extravagance," she'd said. "You're sensible." At 27, Meredith got $120,000 from our parents for a down payment on a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs. She and David had stable jobs, but Mom and Dad insisted. "Starting a family requires stability," Dad said at the celebration dinner. When I mentioned Marcus and I were trying to have children, hoping to eventually buy a small condo, Mom smiled vaguely. "You'll figure it out." "You always do." We figured it out in a 900-square-foot apartment, saving every possible dollar.
When the twins came unexpected, overwhelming, perfect, we figured that out too.
Cloth diapers. Secondhand everything.
I went back to work at 6 weeks because we couldn't afford more leave. Meredith posted Instagram photos of her nursery, designer crib, custom mural, a rocking chair that cost more than our monthly rent.
The twins were 2 when Marcus died. Sudden cardiac event. No warning, no preparation.
No life insurance because we've been planning to get it next month for 3 years.
Mom came to the funeral, hugged me once and said, "At least you're strong." Meredith sent a card.
I was 29, widowed with twin toddlers, working 60-hour weeks, and living in the same cramped apartment.
I asked my parents for help once, just once. "Could you watch Emma and Jake 2 afternoons a week? Daycare costs are breaking me." "We watch Meredith's kids 3 days weekly," Mom said.
But hers are family time, yours are ... well, you work so much. It feels like a job. I never asked again.
Instead, I met Rosa. She was 67, owned a small accounting firm, and hired me as a junior analyst. She found me crying in the bathroom one Tuesday afternoon, makeup smeared, exhausted beyond words. "Tell me what you need," Rosa said simply.
14 more hours in every day.
She smiled. "I can't give you that.
But I can teach you how to make your hours worth more." Rosa became my mentor, my surrogate mother, my lifeline. She taught me real estate investment analysis, property valuation, portfolio management. Showed me how money could work harder than bodies could.
On weekends, she watched the twins while I studied for my CFA certification.
"Why are you helping me?" I asked once.
"Because someone helped me 30 years ago," she said.
"And because you remind me that strength isn't just surviving.
It's building while you survive." I passed the CFA exam at 31. Rosa made me a partner at 32.
By 33, I'd saved $50,000 miracle money, earned in stolen hours and forwarded raises and bonuses I barely celebrated.
Rosa taught me about distressed properties. Houses in foreclosure, estates in probate, owners desperate to sell. "Find the value others miss," she said. "Then create something better." I found a property in Beaverton.
4 bedrooms, 3 baths, terrible shape but solid bones. The owner had died. The estate wanted out fast.
Listed at $340,000, worth $480,000 fixed up. I offered $320,000 cash. They accepted within 48 hours. Rosa co-signed the loan. "Pay me back when you can," she said. "Build your life first." I spent 6 months renovating evenings and weekends. The twins, now 5, handed me tools and picked paint colors. We made it home.
Bright kitchen, sunlit bedrooms, a backyard with space to run.
Then I didn't move in.
I listed it for rent at $2,800 monthly.
A family loved it, signed a 2-year lease. The income covered my mortgage plus $600 extra.
"Why not live there?"
Marcus's mother asked. "Because this is just the first one," I said.
At 34, I bought my second property. At 35, my third.
By 36, I owned 6 rental properties across Portland Metro. Rosa retired. Sold me her share of the firm for a fraction of its value. "Keep building," she said at her retirement party. "You're just getting started." The twins were 7 now. Happy, smart, kind.
They knew we'd struggled, but they also knew we were safe. They had their own rooms, good schools, full bellies. They had a mother who showed up.
My parents knew none of this.
They knew I worked in accounting, lived somewhere in Portland, and was doing fine. They never asked for details. They were busy helping Meredith, whose husband David had lost his job, then started a business that failed, then tried freelance consulting that never gained traction. Mom called occasionally.
"How are you managing?" "We're good. Still in that little apartment?" "We moved."
"That's nice. Meredith is having such a hard time. David's career struggles are so stressful." I made sympathetic sounds and got off the phone.
What I didn't tell her, I owned 7 properties worth $2.8 million combined.
I had $340,000 in investments. The twins went to private school. We took vacations. What I definitely didn't tell her, I'd bought their house.
18 months earlier,
I'd gotten a call from a real estate contact. There's a property in foreclosure. Albany area. 4-bed, 3-bath. Owners defaulted on a home equity loan.
Thought you might be interested. He sent the address.
My childhood home. The house with the painted murals and the big backyard. The house my parents had remortgaged to give Meredith her down payment, then remortgaged again when David's business failed. They'd borrowed $180,000 against a house worth $420,000. Couldn't make payments. Bank wanted out. I bought it for $385,000 cash. The bank accepted immediately.
My parents became my tenants, though they didn't know it. The property management company handled everything.
Their rent, $1,200 monthly, far below market rate. I told myself I did it to protect them. To give them stability without their pride getting involved. Really, I did it because some part of me still hoped they'd eventually see me.
The Christmas visit destroyed that hope.
Monday morning, I called my property manager. The tenants at the Albany property, my parents. I want them out. Start formal eviction proceedings. Are you sure? They're only 2 months behind right now. I'm sure. Send the notice today. It'll take 60 days minimum. That's fine. I hung up and took the twins to school. Emma held my hand crossing the parking lot. Grandma doesn't like us, does she? My heart cracked. Grandma has forgotten how to show love properly. But you love us properly, Jake said. I love you perfectly, I promised. The eviction notice arrived at my parents' house on Monday afternoon. Tuesday morning, my phone exploded. Mom called 6 times before I answered. What is this? Some company says we're being evicted.
You're 2 months behind on rent? I said calmly.
We've had expenses. Meredith needed help with. That doesn't matter. Who are these people? We've lived here 30 years. You've rented there 18 months. Before that, the bank foreclosed. Silence. Then, who bought it? Does it matter?
Jamie.
Her voice cracked. Can you help us? Can you ask your landlord if we can have more time? I looked out my office window at Portland's skyline. Rosa had taught me many things. One was knowing your worth. Another was protecting it. No, I said simply. What do you mean, no? We're your parents. Did you think of that when you called my children improper grandchildren? That's what this is about. You're being so sensitive. They would have been fine in the basement. They're 7 years old, Mom. You have 4 empty bedrooms. And you told them to sleep on the floor because they're not proper family. We didn't mean. Meredith's kids needed. Meredith's kids always need. Her wedding needed $85,000. Her house needed $120,000. Her life needs constant infusions of your money.
My kids needed basic dignity, and you couldn't manage it.
You're being cruel, Mom whispered.
No, I said.
I'm being clear. You have 60 days. I hung up. Dad called an hour later. Your mother is devastated. My children were terrified. It was a misunderstanding. It was a pattern. I corrected. 38 years of patterns. I'm done. We're going to be homeless. You have 2 months to find a new place. That's more notice than you gave my 7-year-olds when you sent them to a basement. This is our home. No, I said quietly. It was your home. Then it was the bank's house. Now it's my investment property. And I'm choosing tenants who treat my family with respect. Your property? His voice changed. What are you talking about? Goodbye, Dad. Meredith called that evening. What the hell is wrong with you?
Hi, Meredith.
Mom is hysterical. Dad is talking about lawyers. You can't evict them over a sleeping arrangement. I'm not evicting them over sleeping arrangements, I said. I'm evicting them because they're behind on rent. The sleeping arrangements just reminded me to stop subsidizing people who don't value my family. Subsidizing? What do you even wait? You own the house. I own 7 houses. Theirs is just 1. Stunned silence. Then that's impossible. You're a single mom. You work in accounting. I own an accounting firm. I'm a certified financial analyst. I specialize in real estate investment. But you've always been struggling. No, I said.
I've always been working. There's a difference. This is insane. You have to help them. Like they helped me. $3,000 for college while you got $120,000? $500 for my wedding while you got $85,000? No help with childcare while they watch your kids 3 days weekly? That's different. It's different because it was you, I interrupted. Everything has always been different when it's you. You're jealous, she hissed. You've always been jealous. No, I said calmly. I'm free. There's a difference. I hung up. The calls continued. Voicemails piled up. 43 from Mom, 31 from Dad, 18 from Meredith. Text messages flooded my phone. The group chat exploded with capital letters and accusations. I blocked them all. Rosa called me that Friday. How are you holding up? Lighter, I said honestly. Is that strange? It's healthy, she replied. You carried them for decades. Of course you feel lighter when you put them down. The 60 days crawled past. My property manager sent updates. My parents weren't looking for new places, just calling lawyers who told them they had no case. They weren't current on rent. They had no lease violations to claim. The eviction was legal. Week 7, Meredith showed up at my office. Security called up. There's a Meredith Torres demanding to see you. Send her up. She burst through my office door and I barely recognized her. The polished younger sister was gone. Her hair needed cutting. Her clothes hung looser. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. Nice office, she said bitterly, looking at the view. Thank you. Mom and Dad found an apartment, 1 bedroom. They have to share it. That's appropriate for 2 people. They're in their 60s, Jamie. I'm 38 and single parenting twins, I replied. Age doesn't excuse cruelty. She collapsed into a chair. David left me. I waited. The business failed. The freelancing failed. He started drinking. Last month he just left. Took his truck and his tools and disappeared. Her voice cracked. I have 3 kids, no job, and no idea how to pay my mortgage. I'm sorry that happened. Are you? She looked up, mascara smudged. Or are you glad? I'm neither, I said honestly. Your marriage failing doesn't fix my childhood. I didn't know it was that bad for you. I studied her. She believed that. She genuinely never noticed. Meredith, I said gently, you got $233,000 from our parents across your lifetime. They said you didn't need help. And you believe that? You watched me work 3 jobs through college. You saw me in the same apartment for 8 years. You knew Marcus died and I had no safety net. I leaned forward. You never once asked if I needed help. Because asking might have meant sharing. Tears spilled down her face. What do I do now? You figure it out, I said. Like I did. I don't know how. Then learn. Get a job. Make a budget. Ask for help from people who actually care about you, not people you only call when you need money. You're my sister. I was always your sister, I said quietly. You just never acted like it. She left without another word. Mom called from a new number 2 days later. Your sister is falling apart. I heard. You have to help her. No, I don't. She's family. So were my children when you sent them to the basement. For God's sake, let that go. I have, I said. That's why you're looking for apartments. We gave you life. Mom shouted. We raised you. You raised me to believe I was worth less, I corrected. I spent 30 years trying to earn value in your eyes. Then I realized I was looking in the wrong place. You're making a mistake, Mom said, voice shaking. Family is everything. You're right, I agreed. That's why I'm protecting mine. I hung up and blocked the new number. 3 weeks later, Rosa and I had lunch at our favorite bistro. She'd traveled to Italy, gained 10 happy pounds, and looked radiant. How are the twins? She asked. Thriving. Jake wants to learn piano. Emma is reading at a 5th grade level. And you? I thought about it. The calls had stopped. The guilt I'd expected never materialized. Instead, there was just space. Room to breathe. I'm sleeping through the night, I said. For the first time in decades. Rosa smiled and raised her wine glass. To sleeping through the night. To sleeping in actual beds, I added. We clinked glasses.
That evening, I sat in my backyard, the real one.
At the house I'd bought last year, the one with 5 bedrooms and a view of Mount Hood. The twins played on their swing set, their laughter carrying on the summer air. Emma ran over, breathless. Mom!
Can Sarah sleep over next weekend? Absolutely.
She can have the guest room. The one with the good mattress?
They all have good mattresses, baby. She grinned and ran back to Jake. I pulled out my phone and looked at one last voicemail I hadn't deleted. Mom's voice. Broken. Please, Jamie. We're begging you. Just tell us what you want. What I wanted had been simple once. I'd wanted them to see me, to value me, to love me as much as they loved Meredith. Now, I wanted peace. I wanted my children to grow up knowing their worth wasn't negotiable. I wanted them to understand that family isn't about blood, it's about who shows up. I deleted the voicemail and opened my photos instead. Rosa at the twins' birthday party. My team at the office.
Marcus's mother, who visited monthly and called herself Grandma Zhang.
This was my family. The people who chose me as much as I chose them. The sun set behind Mount Hood, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. The twins' laughter continued, pure and unself-conscious.
Inside, dinner waited, a real meal, at a real table, in a real home.
For the first time in my life, I wasn't trying to earn anything. I was just living.
And that made all the difference.
If you've ever been the overlooked child, the one who had to fight for scraps while someone else got the feast, know this. Your worth isn't determined by who failed to see it. Sometimes the greatest gift is walking away from people who make you small and building a life that makes you whole. Share your story.
You're not alone.